Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Some of these details, well, first of all, how do you get the Secret Service agents to talk to you and tell you these stories? Because are they or are they not sworn to secrecy?
Usually I waterboard them. That works pretty well. But,
Good deal.
I think I have a reputation for telling an honest story. They probably figure I already have a lot of sources anyway. I really am interested in how they do their work. I think they appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination of those things.
And they're all anonymous, is that right?
No, actually, about 2/3 of the book is on the record.
Wow.
They're on the record quotes about Hillary and Biden and Obama, but other quotes are anonymous. Remember, Watergate was done by Woodward and Bernstein with anonymous sources, so it's a combination.
I presume the ones that are on the record are now retired?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're quite compelling. For example, Hillary, blowing up an agent just because the limo went over a bump in the road. She's so nasty to agents that being assigned to her detail is considered a form of punishment, the worst assignment in the Secret Service. She throws temper tantrums. Other times she says she doesn't want to see them or talk to them. And yet here's this woman who claims to be compassionate, a champion of the little people. She's going to help the middle class. And behind the scenes, she has contempt for them. And this is a nonpartisan book. It says that Barack and Michelle Obama treat their agents with respect and consideration. But this does tell you something about character. And if you remember with Richard Nixon, he became involved in an ethics issue resulting in his checker speech. And sure enough, we got Watergate. Those are the clues to character that we need to focus on.
Clues to character. And so, for instance, when you talk about the Veep, now, your book says that he flies back and forth to Delaware on Air Force Two, which is, anytime you travel aboard those aircraft, it's wildly expensive. He used to take the train from Washington to Delaware. And in terms of geography, is the egregious part that he insists on flying what's a relatively short distance?
No, actually, that is a security issue.
Yeah.
You can imagine being on a train would pose a lot of problems. But the issue is these are personal trips to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
He can go back home a few times a year, but he goes back several times a week, sometimes even twice in one day, and sometimes he'll even fly back to Washington just to play golf with President Obama. So that's all taxpayer expense. It has cost $1 million since he took office, and agents and Air Force personnel both consider that an abuse.
Now, if I remember in your previous book, the Bushes, number 41, Barbara and George, were very, very good to their agents by contrast.
Right. Laura Bush, was just loved by agents. Both Bushes would schedule Christmas so that agents could be with their families, and then they would go to their homes afterwards. And Ronald Reagan, the same, very gracious, just as genuine as he appeared to be on TV. Whenever he went into Air Force One, he would make it a point of going into the cockpit and greeting the pilot and co-pilots. He would even remember their kids' names, whereas Jimmy Carter did that only once in his whole 4-year term. Jimmy Carter would actually tell agents he didn't want them to say hello to him in the morning on the way to the Oval Office. Apparently, it was just too much bother to say hello back to another human being. And yet again, he claimed to be compassionate, care about the little people, populist, good old boy peanut farmer, and behind the scenes, he had nothing but contempt for those so-called little people.
And did LBJ really take meetings while he was sitting on the toilet?
Oh, yeah, and that's on the record. Unbelievable. One agent said if Johnson were not president, he would be in a mental hospital, and it's really true. There's just one example. Also, one time when he was vice president, he was late for an appointment with JFK at the White House. He was traveling along Pennsylvania Avenue from the Capitol. It was rush hour, and he told the agent who was driving, drive up on the sidewalk, drive up on the sidewalk. Well, the sidewalk was full of pedestrians, people coming out of offices. And the agent said, I can't do that. And Johnson took a newspaper and hit him on the head and said, you're fired. This is the kind of thing that went on every single day.